So I welcome everyone officially to our Equinox drawing. And yeah, we're just going to jump right in. I'm just going to do a tiny introduction. My name is Antje Howard. I am a Neurographica trainer working with the Neurographica method. And we are going to use this method today to tune into, welcome, get ready for the transition between summer and winter, basically between the two halves of the year. We are at a very potent midpoint. There are two equinoxes each year, of course, the autumn and the spring equinox. And those are two, for me, very special moments in the year, because one of my life themes is balance. I've always been working on balancing myself, balancing my life, balancing everything around me. And I came to understand that balance is never static. It's always a movement. And right now we are at the part of the movement where we go from the energy of summer to the energy of winter. And I also studied Chinese philosophy. I'm a Qigong teacher, so I have a lot to do with yin and yang. And you can understand this movement as well in terms of yin and yang. So summer would be the yang, would be going out, the energy, everything expansive and hot and winter is like where we gather our energy back together and we come back inside and it's more cold. And of course, we as humans, being in nature, in theory, so we're part of the world and we're part of the environment, we can adjust to what the world around us gives us in terms of energetic imprints. And I find that very helpful to kind of tune into that and feel that in summer, automatically I sleep less and I have way more energy to do things. And in winter, if I allow myself to slow down, I'm, for example, not going to get sick. No, because if I attune myself to the energies and to, okay, I have to sleep more and I can't do so many things and I may not go out every week, then I have enough energy to to go through this phase in the right way, in a way. So we're going to tune into that. And most of the time, I like to start my drawings with a short meditation just to tune in. So I would like to invite everyone to join me in a very short, just becoming aware, maybe. So make yourself comfortable, however comfortable is for you right now. Sitting, you could lie down if you want to, but I'm going to assume that everybody's sitting. If you can place your feet on the ground, it would be nice. Place your feet on the ground, feeling your feet on the ground. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And let's take a few deep breaths. And you can breathe in through the nose and out of the mouth if that feels good. You can release sound or sigh or whatever needs to be released right now. And first, I invite you to just let go of the day, of anything that was before right now, anything that may still be in your body, in your bones, in your emotions, and your thoughts. Breathing it in a few times. And letting go with the exhale. And consciously letting go of everything that is. And really tuning into this moment right now. Giving this moment space. And a moment of time. And just tuning in with yourself. And feeling in your body what is right now. without trying to change anything, without judging anything, just being and listening to your body for a moment. And then allow yourself to tune into your emotions. Where are you emotionally? What are you feeling? What does your heart feel right now? And whatever it is, just being with it, giving it space. And breathing into it for a moment. And then just giving a moment to your thoughts, checking in with your mind, finding out where is your mind right now? Is it still somewhere else, or is it with the here and now? Is it drifting away? And just watching your thoughts, checking in for a moment, and again, without judgment, without trying to change. And breathing a deep breath. And then I would like to invite you to imagine yourself at the boundary between light and dark. And you can imagine light on one side of you and darkness on the other. And just becoming aware, where is the light? Where is the darkness? On the left and the right, front and behind you, below or above you. And just feeling into it, feeling into this moment of transition. What does the light feel like? What does the darkness feel like? Which one do you feel drawn to? And breathing with that for a moment, just being with it. And then I invite you to bring your hands in front of your chest. Taking one more deep breath and start rubbing your hands together and bringing warmth, blood flow, energy flow into the hand. And then whenever they feel nice and warm, you can place them over your eyes for a moment. And just imagine creating a connection between your eyes and your hand. Between that, what you see with your eyes on the outside, with your inner eye on the inside, and with your hands that we will use to create right now. And then whenever you're ready to come back, you can start rubbing your face, gently waking yourself up, rubbing your head and your neck, and just allowing your hands to go anywhere on your body where they might be needed right now, anywhere where it feels good right now. Okay, and while you're getting ready, I am changing my camera view so that we can all see the drawing. Well, it's not quite the whole paper. Okay, like this, I think will work. Okay, so I am just working with a very simple Sharpie pen. You can work with any type of pen. A roller pen will work. It doesn't have to be any fancy special material. That's one of the things I really love about this practice as well. So what we will do now is create a picture that kind of speaks to our movement from the energy of summer towards the energy of winter. And in my visualization right now, I had the light on the left side and the darkness on the right side. So this is how I'm going to do it in my picture. If you saw a different thing, you can also turn your picture however it needs to be turned. So that just as an introduction. So we will start on wherever you saw the light, wherever the light was. And with that, we can kind of tune into the memory of summer, tune into the past month, all the great things that we experienced there. And I'm going to just start putting my pen on the paper on this left half of the picture. And then I'm going to spiral out from this point that I found on my picture. I'm going to spiral out and really giving that time. It doesn't have to be fast. It's always good to take time in a Neurographica drawing. I'm just going to spiral as much as I feel. And then whenever I feel I'm kind of getting close to the middle, I will move into the other half of my picture and spiral in. And those, to me, represent in this picture these two energies. And all the way in until I feel I'm really there. And we can just follow this movement a few times now. From the point where we spiral outwards, and you can really kind of imagine this feeling of summer, the explosive energy, the energy that moves outwards, spiraling out, and then moving into this very different movement of pulling the energy in, closing up in a way, getting comfortable, building a nest, and spiraling in. And while you do that, we're going to do that just a few times. You can really feel into your body and see, how does that feel? How do these two different energies feel in your body? And then, of course, you can also check in with your emotions and feel if any emotions come up with that movement, inwards or outward. And also always stay aware, be aware of where your mind goes. And maybe some of you already see that I'm creating kind of loose lines. So I'm allowing myself to use a neurographic line, and I'm going to do it a little bit more now, which means I follow the pathway that is there, but I allow myself to move off of the path. And I'm kind of following my feeling with that. And I actually go to where I feel a little bit of tension. I go to where it feels a little bit unknown to me. That makes any sense? You can just try that out. No, just follow the pathway that is there, but allow the line to move it. And this way we activate this line, we activate the spiral. And it can really start to become more than that. It start to become a different kind of shape, maybe. And also remember to breathe, taking deep breaths. And really allowing yourself to explore this movement, explore this space, and feeling into the difference. Maybe you have a preference, maybe one of these spirals is your favorite, but try to just be with whatever is without really judging yourself in it as well. We will all have preferences. That's very normal. But since we are living in a world that has all these different phases, it's very good for us to be able to tune into all of these energies. I think now maybe I've done this enough. I really felt into it. I experienced it. Now what I would like to do is emphasize the movements even more. And I will start with my left spiral, so the outward spiraling one again, and add lines. And this time the lines will go from the central point all the way to the edge of my paper. And they will be neurographic lines. Neurographic lines are lines that are never straight and that kind of go a way that surprises me. So I allow myself to go in a way that whenever I feel that I know where I'm going, I change the direction slightly. So I slowly move towards the outside, but in a way that I did not expect. And I can again follow this line several times, feel into it, give it some space, and it's going to be a little bit different every time so that there's also a space created. I'm going to do that a few times now, moving out in different directions. And again, exploring this moment of outward energy. So in summer, this is where our energy goes. It's mostly outside. We are much more outside as well because it's warm and the sun is warming us, so we don't need shelter so much. And also, most of the time, I can definitely say for myself that I am much more social in summer. I like to be around more people, whereas in winter, I feel more seclusive. I feel more that I need my own space. I don't want to go out all the time. And I just feel into that. And maybe there's some memories that come from the summertime. Maybe there's something that you experienced this year or another year in the summer energy. And allow yourself to breathe with it. And just to allow anything that wants to come up, any feeling, any sensation, any thought to come out. Just give it space. Anything that wants to come out can hear. This is why we're doing this, to allow whatever we need to look at to be looked at. And then we have now with the lines, some points where lines meet. Like here, for example, or here, wherever lines cross other lines, we have little points of contact now. And we want these points of contact to be rounded to be smooth instead of having sharp angles. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth out all these points of contact here. And I just go and round out wherever my lines meet. And this point really doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be to where when you look at the drawing, it looks smooth and you don't see any very harsh angles anywhere. So you can just go around and go to every single corner that you see and make it a curve. And I hope this is understandable. If anybody has a question about that, you can write me in the chat, and I can also show this in like big maybe if you need to. But otherwise, I just go around now in my spiral. And my spiral was kind of like cut into little pieces now. And I round out all these little corners that I find here. And I really like to tune into all the little spaces that appear between my lines now. I'm very interested in seeing what happens in between there now. And in a way, it's a little bit like, okay, I'm going to show it closer. Okay. So just as a very simple explanation, if I have a line here and another line here, and because I went over them several times, I'm going to do that here now too. Then when I approach this corner, you can imagine that you're driving with a car along the street and then you want to go to the right. The car doesn't turn 90-degree angle. No, the car makes a curve. And this is what we're going to do with our pen. We're making a curve so that instead of having this point there where you have lines crossing in a real actual cross, you have lines connected. And you can color this in if you want to, where you are creating a connection point. And then if you do that in the entire picture, you're going to see in the end that it kind of looks like everything's connected. And that is the effect that we want to have with that. Yeah, if you have too many angles, just allow yourself to not be perfectionist. It's not about rounding out every single tiny little corner. It is more about looking wherever a corner is really poking out in a way, where you can really see it and it's very obvious to you. And you kind of feel that that might be bothering you, for example, and then rounding that out. I will have a lot of tiny little corners in my picture, and I just leave them there. This is in a picture like we are drawing today, where we're not working with a lot of inner conflict, even though inner conflict can always show up in pictures. This is not the most important step. Whereas when you practice the Neurographica method with a certain kind of algorithm that we learn in the basic user course, there it's really important to round out corners. So if you've practiced the basic user one and you learn the algorithm one, then just be assured this is not a picture that carries that much stress in it. So it's okay to have tiny little corners somewhere. Like, I'm not really going into all my little lines here. I'm really just going where I see big things, big like corners sticking out. But it looks like an arrow almost there. And that's where I go. Okay. So if you want to, you can add little circles in this side if you want to remind yourself of any beautiful things that you did in summer, for example. You can add some circles. In Neurographica, we add circles as kind of objects that create meaning in our drawing. Of course, we have like kind of the meaning of going from the warm half of the year to the colder half of the year. But we can add little circles if there's something that you really want to remind yourself of, or something that came up in your drawing where you're like, oh yeah, this summer I did one thing that I really enjoyed. I went to the ocean this summer, so I'm gonna make one there. And then I had the best birthday ever this summer. So I just have like little things that I want to bring into this drawing that when I look at it later, I can be reminded of that. So I'm not going to add a whole lot, just a few of them. Oh yeah, if the summer had crisis, then it is really good to round. Then it is really important to round and spend a little bit more time with softening the angles. The purpose of softening is to create connection between all the elements in the picture. So when I just draw a line and it's crossing another line, I just have two lines crossing each other and they're kind of separate and they just have a point where they meet. When I round out the corners, they will be connected. And if I imagine them as rivers, for example, they will flow into each other. So we want to have this feeling of energy flowing into each other, energy flowing through the drawing and connecting all the different parts of the drawing. And we also round to take out the energy of conflict. And it's about harmonizing. We harmonize our drawing with the rounding. I mean, the reason why there's an extra course for this is because it's a bigger topic. So I'm not going to go into every single little detail here. I would like to invite you to just try it out and feel into what does the rounding do for you? How does it feel for you? What kind of state of mind do you move into when you start doing this rounding? And really right now practice and see what happens for you. And I would like to continue going on to the other side. Now we're going on to our second spiral. And here we will draw the lines from the outside to the inside to emphasize this feeling and this movement of drawing your energy in, which is really important in the winter time. It's very important for us to really be aware of the energy that we have and know how we can conserve it. Because if we spend too much energy in winter, then we are more prone to disease and things like that, then we are more vulnerable. That's why wintertime is the time when we drink hot tea and we stay inside and we just take care of ourselves. And you can kind of, in doing the lines, think about things that you can do for yourself to prepare yourself for winter, or things that you would like to plan to do in winter. What would you like to do, or in autumn maybe, to prepare for this time, to make yourself comfortable, to make this winter the best it can be? to really make sure that your energy is preserved. So just drawing the lines, and then again with the lines, feeling into your body, feeling into your emotions, feeling or listening to your mind, and really just being with whatever comes up. And if tension, if any sort of inner conflict or something comes up, then really just listening to it and ask yourself, what can I do to make this a good time for me? Even if it may look like a difficult time ahead, for example, what can you do to help yourself? Maybe there's people that can help you, or maybe there's practices that you always wanted to start, and maybe that's a good time now. Maybe there's certain food or drink that soothes you. Just really thinking about how can you fill your own cup. And taking your time with that. Hmm. Feeling into it. And allowing the lines to take you on a path that you did not anticipate before. Always leaving a little space for surprise, for wonder, something that you didn't know yet. Hmm. And then I invite you to round those out as well, just the same way we did the other one. And now, I mean, in my picture, you can see the difference, no? When where I rounded it, it's much more connected. Everything is much more looking as one. And here it's more lines crossing each other. So I'm going to go ahead and round all of this out as well. And while you round, really just open yourself up to whatever experience this brings for you. Allowing a new experience, allowing your mind, your body, your emotions to go wherever they are led with this. And always remembering to breathe deeply, giving yourself space. And feeling into all the spaces that are created here. And you can just imagine it's like reading between the lines. We sometimes say that every line in the picture is like a thought. And even if we don't consciously know what kind of thought it was, They are still representations of all our thoughts, all the things that happen inside of us. And when we explore the spaces in between the lines, we can find things in between our thoughts. And we can feel into this energy. And I'm going around in my spiral now, going inwards, really following this movement as well, from the outside to the inside, and explore every single little space that was created here through my lines. And feeling into that. And for me, this winter time, this quiet time will bring a lot of things, apparently. Just looking at my drawing, I can see my winter spiral is bigger than the summer one. I have much more spaces here. So that tells me that I have a lot of inner work to do. And I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to having the time to really dive deep. And as I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be every single corner. It's more important to feel into what the rounding does for you, how it feels for you. Allowing any emotions, any thoughts to come up and really becoming aware of them. This is like an exercise in awareness. I also like to call it a very active meditation because we are drawing and doing all these other things at the same time, observing ourselves. And then you can also see if you would like to add some circles in that half of the picture. Maybe there's some things that you're planning to do this winter. Maybe you want to remind yourself to slow down, to take better care of yourself. Maybe you're looking forward to a special event, maybe a family event or something like that. So you can add circles. And in a way, when I look at my picture, there are some places where I kind of almost see circles. I look at it, I see, for example, part of a circle, half a circle or something like that. And then just add my circle there. And even if you don't have a completely specific idea of what this circle signifies, you can still add it. And maybe later you will find out. Your mind will tell you. You will know what the circle is. So when you see a space where it looks like there might be a circle there, then just go ahead and add it and allow it to be there. And maybe it will have a message for you later. I have a few things here in my winter spiral that I would like to remind myself of, especially about taking care of myself, of my body. So I'm adding a few circles. And they can have any size. They can be anywhere in the picture. And if you look at your summer side now and feel that there's a circle somewhere, you can also still add it. So you can always add more elements. And again, whenever I add a circle, I'm going to go around it and make sure that there's no super harsh corners. I feel that the circle is part of the rest of the network. That is all connected. That looks very good to me now. So now I will go ahead and draw a circle in the middle. And this is where I am right now. And I invite you to do that as well, to mark the moment in time and space that we are about to pass, the moment of now. And maybe in a few months, when you look back at this picture, you can also look back at this moment of now. I'm going to go ahead and really make this a circle that kind of stands out. It can again be as big as you feel right now. It can be small or big. And then I integrate it into the rest of my drawing to make it part of the whole. And to feel myself connected right here. This is where I am. This is where I come from. This is where I go. And it's all good. I can look back at where I come from. And I can look at where I'm going. And I'm going to try to find beauty in all of this. So now we will add colors to it. And you can start wherever you wish. I will start in my summer half, and I'm going to use bright colors here and then move into darker colors there to kind of remind myself of this passage. So I'm going to start with red here. Usually I use colors very intuitively. I also pick them very intuitively, but with this drawing, I decided to actually go with certain colors. But when I color, I go completely with my intuition. I start somewhere in the picture and I just allow the color to flow wherever it needs to flow. It can flow with my lines. It can fill up my spaces, my little kind of puzzle pieces that I created here. The only kind of rule that we have is that we have to go over lines. So we don't want to only color. I would not color only this circle, for example. I will color this circle, but I will also allow the color to go beyond the circle. So what we do with the coloring is we're kind of opening up to a greater field, and we want to create larger spaces of color and really feel and allow the color to be taking space in our drawing. And it does not have to be confined by the lines that we were drawing before. So I can partially color some of my spaces. I can, of course, with colored pencils, it's really nice. You can color some parts a little bit stronger and then fade out or things like that. So really just go with how you feel. And I will just stick with the color as long as I feel it wants to move through the drawing. I will go with it wherever it wants to move. So my red could also even go into this half if it felt like it. It doesn't really feel like it for me, but that would also be allowed. So you can bring some of the summer energy, of course, also into your winter. But the color is really to explore the space that we created with the lines in a different way. And allow yourself to flow with it. Allow yourself to just feel into it. And at some point, then I kind of feel, okay, maybe this is enough red. I'm going to use some yellow. I want this one to shine a little bit more. So I'm going to put some yellow on top so you can mix the colors. You can use them in any way that you feel is fun. Color is really about being experimental, allowing yourself to play. And if you're like me, you may have learned in kindergarten to not color over lines. So we also kind of bust these things that we learned. In Neurographica, it's explicitly allowed to go over lines. We actually want to do that. And this also has to do with kind of going over our inner boundaries, expanding our inner boundaries. So if we have rules like that in our mind, for example, then consciously allow yourself to go over it. And even if it feels a little bit funny, a little bit weird in the beginning, just explore. And again, when we color, also we feel into what this does for us. Feel into how does your body react to a color? What does your mind say? Where does your mind go? And are there any emotions that are coming up with the color? So it's all about exploring the inner realms with the help of all these little tools, with the help of the process of drawing. And we can also leave spaces white, so not everything needs to be covered. And I really encourage you to just experiment. In the end, this picture does not need to be pretty. It's not about producing a piece of art, really, but more about producing something that creates an inner reaction for you, something that reminds you of something else, something that creates a feeling for you. And you can do that with the colors very specifically. And then whenever I feel like my sunny part of the year, maybe I've colored enough in there, I'm going to do a little bit more. Then I will move through the threshold, through the transitioning point where we are right now, into the darker, into the winter part of the year, and explore that. And as I said, I will explore it with darker colors. You can just go with the colors that you feel. So it doesn't have to follow that rule, or I'm not going to make it a rule. It can just be, however you experience that right now, especially. So it's all about how you experience that space. And how you want to experience that transition. And also how you want to remember the first half of the year and how you want to go into the second half of the year. And for me personally, the hot colors, the summer is really actually what I dread a little bit, especially since I live in California here. I never thought I would not love summer because in Germany it's a wonderful time. But here it's just way too hot for me. So I am actually happy to go into the autumn and winter time. I am very much looking forward to having rain and green again instead of just dead plants everywhere. And so for me, this is kind of like a very joyful time of moving over. And I just want to invite you to allow yourself to feel whatever you feel in this transition. Well, we're not trying to actually change anything here. We're only trying to become aware of what is, become aware of how you actually feel about the things. And that may, in the end, help you if you want to change anything. But right now, this is really just to explore, to enjoy, and to bring this kind of feeling of beauty into it. I go with some blues now. And as you see, my colors, they just create new spaces. They are not really confined by the elements that I see in my drawing, even though, of course, I'm reacting to the lines that are there and the figures that I see. But I always allow the color to spill over somewhere to fill the space in a new way. Ah, and it feels nice and cool. I really enjoy that. That's good. Yeah, you can always draw more lines. If you feel that at some point you need anything else in the picture, you can always go back to the other steps. It's very, yeah, I'm just reading a comment here. Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting. So this is really about kind of finding out also things like that. No, if you feel like, oh, I would like to have more lines, then this is what it's all about. To ask yourself what would make you feel better, and then to kind of bring that into your drawing. This is the nice thing about the drawing, we can adjust. You know, if I feel that I need some other color in there, I can add it in. If I feel that I need more lines or more circles, I can add them in. So you can really work with what you feel. And in a way, it's, for me, really training my intuitive knowledge and also trusting my intuitive knowledge. Especially when I go with colors like that, for example, I never make a plan. I always just go with whatever I feel next. And I'm slowly going a little bit darker here. Feeling into that. So there's a point somehow for me where autumn really turns into winter and it's really going into the spiral, like a significant point somehow. Where I really feel, okay, now my energy is going inward. And I really am a person that has to be careful to not get stuck inside. And I know that. So I just have that feeling that I will add a little bit of yellow in the very center here, just to remind myself that I can spiral out again whenever it's time, whenever I can, whenever I have to. So you can do things like that too. You can add the color, however, it tells your own story. So it's really about telling your own story of your energetic being and what you need. And I know that sometime in the middle of winter, it's really important for me to remember that there's a light half of the year as well, that I can kind of get back out of my little shell. And I'm just putting that into my drawing as well. And this way I can be okay with more darkness here. I'm going a little bit stronger here. And that just feels really good right now. I'm glad I thought of that, or I had this kind of feeling. So really trust yourself, trust your intuition. If you have the impulse to do something, try it out and see what it looks like, what it feels like, what it does to your energy, to your picture. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to stop the colors now, even though I could probably go on for another hour like that. But I will continue with the next steps because we got 2 more little steps here to do before the drawing is finished. She says, and color some more. Okay. And you can always come back and color more. So the picture doesn't have to be completed whenever we go out of this session. I really like to just continue every now and then and look deeper into it. And every time I add some more color, I, in a way, look deeper into my own process here, my own feeling with it, my experiences. But now I will add a thicker line. I have this like brush pen for it. You can also just use a thicker pen, a thicker marker maybe, or something like this. Or if you don't have any of that, you just use a thin pen and go over the same line many, many, many times so that it stands out. So what we want to do is draw a thick line that goes from one end of the picture, one end of the paper to the other. And I will draw it in the direction of my energy flow here. So I will draw it through my spiral from the summer half to the winter half, because this is kind of like the energy that I want to emphasize in this drawing. You can start with a line that's already there. You can also add a new line. I will, I think, start with this one and just see where it takes me. So it's a bold line, very thick. And I will go through here, through the entire drawing, and come back out on the other side. That feels pretty good. Nice. And I'm going to go over this one a few times just to feel into it. And you can imagine this line like a big river. If I imagine my picture is like a river system, then this would be the big Amazon or the Mississippi or something like this, the big river that brings energy to my entire drawing. And now that it sticks out like that, I will go back and round next to this line, just in little spaces where I have little corners again sticking out here and there. And as always, doesn't have to be perfect. The feeling that we want to create is that this river line, this big line, is really part of the network. So when you have a harsh corner, then it kind of feels like the energy is stopped, is not flowing. And when you have a round, when you have a rounded corner instead, then it feels like the energy is flowing. So this is why we're going back to this rounding again and again and again, is really to enhance the flow inside the picture. And of course, I'm also going one more time from this summer half to this winter half and feeling into the change of energy here. Now that the color is there, I can definitely feel a stronger change of energy. No, it's really, I'm going into a different world here almost from the summer half to the winter half. But it feels really good to me. And I kind of am making peace with this change, because that's kind of what all of this is about, to allow us to deal with the changes, because the changes are happening anyways. No, summer is going to turn into winter. And what we can do is look at how we can make this transition for us easier, how we can make it smooth. And then at last, I'm going to look at all the circles I have here, and I will emphasize one circle, a circle where I feel that it's something that is very important to me. So it could be something that I want to remember from my summer, a memory that I want to take with me. It can be just being super aware of the moment of now, of this transition, or it can be one of the things that I want to do in winter that are important to me. And I think for me, it's this one here. And that can be a completely, it doesn't have to make any sense to anyone else why you choose that circle. It's your inner decision. So I'm going to go with this one because that's something that is important for me to remember in winter, to nurture myself. And even if it's not 100% clear to you what the circle means, if it just looks like important, let it be important. Allow it to take that role. And then maybe, as I said, in 2 months, you will look at it and you will know, oh, this is why that was important. This is what it may mean. And then again, one last time, I'm integrating this circle to be part of the network, of the bigger whole, of the entire picture and the entire energy flow. And for me, it's even connected to my big line, which I kind of like, because that way I have the feeling that it's bringing the energy there as well. So through this threshold, the moment of now where I look at both sides, I create this energy to nurture myself in winter, to nurture these processes. And now I have a picture that can remind me of that. So I would like to invite you to just like take as much time as you need now to finish your drawings. I would like to speak very, very briefly about a program that I'm offering in October because I'm very excited about it. It is called Ancestral Arts, where I do 4 workshops, 4 Saturdays from October 2nd to October 23rd, where we go into a process of combining art processes like these. Of course, they're going to be very different, but they're also going to work with lines and circles and colors. And the topic is our ancestors, our ancestry. I've done this workshop series before, and I like to offer it at this time now because it's kind of like the time where in many places we listen to our ancestors, we get in touch with our ancestors, and I find art to be an incredible tool to create a stronger connection there. So I'm just going to go through very, very briefly the things that I want to do. I'm starting with a workshop that I call Roots, where we go into what roots mean to you and what you can feel rooted in, because it doesn't necessarily have to be our blood ancestry only. We can be rooted in nature, we can be rooted in philosophies, we can be rooted in all kinds of things. And this is what I like to explore in this first ceremony. And it's always going to be a longer meditation where we create a kind of ceremonial space, because I find that really important working with ancestors. And then a guided drawing process. And the first one will also include a little bit of writing, probably. So yeah, that was the first one. The second one will be a very complex drawing. That's actually behind me there. Yeah, I can see it there. There. It is an ancestral mandala. And this is a practice that I actually learned in my Neurographica school, where we connect with 7 generations before us in a drawing. We bring the 7 generations, and it's really 254 ancestors that will show up in your picture. And it's a very incredible experience to just see them in a picture. And then we will connect with them through lines. And my idea of including ceremony with that actually came from when I first started drawing these drawings, because I had incredible experiences. And I felt that it needs a framework that makes it where we can open and close the space. Because 7 generations, there will be everything in there. Every one of us has troubled ancestor. Every one of us has bright and beautiful ancestors. And when we work with such a big space, then it's really important to kind of create the right space around it. And then the third one will go into our 4 primary bloodlines. We basically cut out a part of this giant mandala and look more closely, more specifically at the 4 primary bloodlines, meaning your mother's 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 mother and your father's fathers. I created a drawing process where we go with the 4 directions for that. So that will be the third one. The last one will be working with 1 known and remembered ancestor in a portrait. And I did this process first when my own grandmother passed last year and I couldn't go to the funeral. And I just intuitively started drawing on top of a picture of her. I had like a photocopy of a beautiful photograph of her, and that helped me to say goodbye, to create a connection. And I've worked now with several different ancestors that are also that I've never met, for example. The last one was my grandfather that died before I was born, and I always felt that I was cut off of that connection. So I recreated a connection for myself with the drawing process. So that will be the last one that we do. And that will be one where the ancestor has to be known, remembered, and you have to have some kind of photograph or something of him, her. So yeah, I just wanted to invite everyone to this series. You can book workshops, like a single workshop or the entire series. I'm gonna maybe post the thing in the website into the chat. I'm also, when I publish this video, I will put it under the video. But yes, so I'm going to say thank you for everyone for being here, for sharing this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to stop this recording now. So bye-bye everyone who's watching the recording.